So, you've come. You wish to learn the way of the samurai. Are you sure? Know that the path of the samurai is not one of fortune or glory, but of self-deprecation and burden. To become a samurai, one must be intimate with the way of the blade. And not hentai. Or you can just be a weeb, I guess. The first steps to becoming a samurai is knowing your 1-2-3, or 1-4-6, or 1-6. But you have it set up as 1-2-5, 1-3-6. However you've set it up doesn't matter. The important part is knowing what these do and executing them often. For 2 or less targets, we have 3 single target combos. The first combo consists of Gyofu, Jinpu, and Gecko. Gyofu is just the combo starter and increases the Kenki Gauge by 5.
I believe it's Kenki and not Kinky.
Yes, that. Exactly. Either way, we'll come back to the Kenki Gauge later. Jinpu is the second hit in the first combo. That increases the Kenki Gauge by 5 and buffs us with Fujitsu, a 13% damage increase for 40 seconds. Gecko is the combo finisher in the first combo. It should be executed from the target's rear for increased potency. It also increases the Kenki Gauge by 10 and grants us the Getsu Sen. Just like with the Kenki Gauge, we'll come back to the Sen gauge later, so just keep that in your head for now. For the second combo, we have Gyofu, Shifu, and Kasha. Shifu is the second hit in the second combo, increasing the Kenki Gauge by 5 and grants the buff Fuka, reducing weapon skill cast times and recast time, spell cast time and recast time, and auto attack delay by 13%. Kasha is the finisher in the second combo that should be executed from the target's flank for increased potency. It also increases the Kenki Gauge by 10 and grants the Ka-sen. Finally, we have Gyofu into Yukikaze, a 2-step combo. Yukikaze increases the Kenki Gauge by 15 and grants us the Setsu Sen. It's important to note that despite Yukikaze giving 5 extra Kenki over the other combo finishers, its potency is lower, but it's faster to get to. This is something I want you to keep in mind for now, and we'll come back to it later. Moving on, we have Iaijutsu.
Wait, shouldn't we cover the AoE attacks?
Yes, I was just getting to that. For 3 or more targets, we have 2 AoE combos. Fuka into Manjetsu or Oka. Fuka is the combo starter and increases Kenki by 10. Manjetsu is the first combo finisher. Increasing Kenki by 10 buffs us with Fujitsu, the same 13% damage increase from Jinpu, and grants Getsu, the same Sen from Gecko. Oka is the second combo finisher, increasing the Kenki Gauge by 10, buffing us with Fuko, the same 13% haste buff from Shifu, and grants Ka, the same Sen from Kasha. Now then, let's eye up the Jutsu with Iaijutsu. No? Okay. Anyways, first things first, our Sen. Samurai can hold one of each 3 unique Sens, Getsu, Ka, and Setsu. Sens allow the execution of Iaijutsu actions, which are highly potent casted GCDs. 1 Sen for 1 Higan Banana, 2 Sen for Tenka Goken, and 3 Sen for Madare Setsugeka. The type of Sen is irrelevant, only the number of Sen is important, although it does pay to get intimate with what combo finisher gives which Sen, so you don't end up acquiring the same Sen twice, which would be very silly. Higan Banana,
It's actually Higan Banner, not Banana.
yes, that's what I said. Anyway, Higan Banner requires 1 Sen and is a highly potent single target dot that lasts 60 seconds. It's also our core mechanic we play around, as it's important to keep up as much as possible and reapply it under the 2-minute burst window. More on that later. Tenka Goken requires 2 Sen and is an AoE attack around us that is a potency gain on 3 or more targets. Madare Setsugeka requires 3 Sen and is a super hard hitting single target guaranteed critical hit, and is a gain on 2 or less targets. All of which grant a stack of meditation, which we can hold 3 of. Upon reaching 3 stacks, we can use Shoha, a highly potent line AoE OGCD. It's important to never overcap meditation stacks, but when optimizing around the 2-minute buff window, we can actually smuggle the free meditation stacks to use an extra Shoha into the burst window. Higan Banner and Midare Setsugeka also have an increased range of 6 yarms over standard melee GCD's 3 yarms, which allows greater flexibility when keeping uptime, like delaying a Midare until moving out when you might not normally be able to hit the boss, which is fine as long as you don't overcap your Sen or miss a Midare under raid buffs. We do have other options for keeping uptime that we'll go over a bit later. Tenka Goken and Midare Setsugeka also grant Tsubame Geisha Ready, that allows the execution of Keisha Goken and Keisha Setsugeka, both of which do the same potency as their respective Iaijutsu and have the same increased range but are instant casts. And just like Shoha, we can smuggle a Keisha Setsugeka in the 2-minute buff window. What's smuggling, you ask? Well,
Smuggling is the illegal transportation of objects, substances, information, or people, such as out of house or building, into a prison or across an international border in violation of applicable laws or other regulations.
Oh, you meant in-game. Well, why didn't you say that? Smuggling in 14 is just the term we use when we carry over a very specific resource that you might not think otherwise to take into the bus window. Come now, take a seat and have some tea. Did you know that certain teas help you focus, like black and green tea? And to become a true samurai, one must have a calm mind to remain focused. And focus is what you're going to need for this next part, because we're talking Meikyo Shisui. Meikyo Shisui is an OGCD on a 55-second cooldown and holds 2 charges. Upon use, Meikyo Shisui allows us to skip the combo finishes for the next 3 standard GCDs. This means we can go straight to using Gecko, Kasha, Yokokaze, or even Manjetsu or Oka for AoEing without having to meet the prerequisite combo attacks. Skipping to Gecko or Kasha will also buff us with Fujitsu and Fuka, respectively, which allows Meikyo Shisui flexibility when opening a fight or reopening after a long period of downtime. Speaking of opening and reopening, here you'll use Meikyo Shisui on Gecko, Kasha, and Yokokaze. Apart from that though, to really maximize our damage output, we should ideally be only using Gecko and Kasha and skipping a Yokokaze usage under Meikyo Shisui. How that is achieved is through Meikyo Shisui acceleration, which we'll go over in the rotation part of the video to avoid overloading you with information. Meikyo Shisui also has the additional effect of Tendo, that turns Tenka Goken into Tendo Goken and Midare Setsugeka into Tendo Setsugeka, both of which also have a Keisha follow-up attack, grants a meditation stack, and are just higher potency than their respective Iaijutsu. So, what kind of kinks are you into? I mean, let's go over the Kenki Gauge and all of its associated abilities. The Kenki Gauge holds up to 100, and we can spend Kenki on some potent OGCDs, all called Hisatsus. Shinten is a single target ability, while Kyoten is the AoE equivalent to be used on 3 or more targets. These two cost 25 Kenki each and are on a 1-second cooldown, which makes them easy to spam to dump Kenki into raid buffs or just get rid of excess Kenki in general. Kyoten is a damaging gap closer, while Yaten is a damaging backstep. These two cost 10 Kenki each and are on 10-second cooldowns, so they can't be spammed. But Kyoten is good as a gap closer and as a way to dump 10 Kenki specifically in the opener, or if you're a math god, use as a way to get an extra Shinten in the 2-minute burst window, as it is damage neutral. I'm not a math god. Meanwhile, Yaten has the additional effect of increasing MP's potency, which is our ranged attack. So if you need to disengage and use a ranged attack, using Yaten into MP isn't a bad idea, and ideally, you'll never want to use MP without this enhancement. Also, fun fact, if you can get only 1 more GCD off before a boss becomes untargetable, then doing a Yaten into an MP over a Gyofo is a potency gain. Sinai is a high potency single target ability, while Gurren is a line AoE, both of which cost 25 Kenki and share a cooldown of 60 seconds. So when there are 2 or more targets, use Gurren, otherwise use Sinai, and ensure you have 25 Kenki when these come off cooldown to avoid drifting them. And that's not all, we have more ways to get Kenki. For starters, we have our very cool 2-minute ability, Ikushoten, that instantly increases the Kenki gauge by 50 and grants Ogi Namakiri and Zenshin Ready. Ogi Namakiri is an Iaijutsu-like ability with a cast time and an even further 8-yarn range, opposed to Higan Banner and Midare Setsugeka's 6-yarn range. It also has a Keisha follow-up attack that must be used straight after Ogi Namakiri, unlike Tenko Goken and Madara Setsugekas that can be stored and saved for later. Meanwhile, Zanshin is a high potency cone AoE OGCD that costs 50 Kenki, and Ikushoten gives 50 Kenki. So if you end up not having enough Kenki, you know you really f***ed up. Meditate is an OGCD on a 60-second cooldown and gradually increases your Kenki gauge by 10 and meditation stacks by 1 per tick for 15 seconds, which is a total of 5 ticks. Oh, I know this math. 5 ticks equals 50 Kenki and 5 stacks of meditation. Just be aware this ability is channeled, which means you can't do anything while having the ability active, and if you do any other actions like attack or move, you'll cancel the effect. So you want to be using this during periods of downtime where there is nothing to hit, and you can get away with standing still for a few seconds to get maximum value. Oh, and make some weird noises when your teammates stack on you while meditating to make them think twice before dropping an AoE on you. Hagekure. Okay, but for real. Hagekure is an OGCD on a 5-second cooldown and converts any currently stored sen into 5 Kenki for each sen. With our newfound knowledge of Tsumbame and Meikyo Shisui acceleration, Hagekure doesn't really get much use now, except in a few cases. Maybe the boss is about to die and you won't get enough sen for another Madara Setsugeka. You can use Hagekure to get an extra Shinten, or if you're ahead in your rotation for some unknown reason, you can use Hagekure on Yukikaze to delay your rotation by 2 GCDs, or Gecko or Kasha to delay by 3 GCDs. As for our final samurai ability, we have Third Eye,
which gets upgraded to Tengetsu now.
Yes, whatever. Tengetsu is an OGCD on a 15-second cooldown and reduces damage taken by 10% for the next 4 seconds. If struck during this time, Tengetsu will increase the Kenki gauge by 10 and proc Tengetsu's Foresight that will reduce all incoming damage by 10% and has a regen effect for 9 seconds. With Tengetsu's short cooldown and frequent uptime, this makes Samurai one of the most durable melee out there. So get out there and eat some goddamn AoEs. Well, that was a lot of information. I sure could use a second wind. Oh, luckily we have an ability called that. Second wind is on a 2-minute cooldown and heals self for quite a substantial amount. Good to be used during high instances of damage on self or during raid wides. Leg sweep. On a 40-second cooldown and stuns the target for 3 seconds. Only works on non-boss enemies, but good in dungeons to stun big AoEs that would otherwise force a disengage. Bloodbath. On a 90-second cooldown and gives all attacks a lifesteal effect for 20 seconds. Just like Second Wind, it's a good cooldown to be used during high instances of damage. Feint is on a 90-second cooldown and reduces targets' physical damage by 10% and magical damage by 5% for 15 seconds. Really good for raid wides, especially when they're doing physical damage. Also try to not touch feints with your co melee. Arm's Length. On a 2-minute cooldown, this nullifies knockback mechanics for 6 seconds. So use this if a mechanic is going to knock you back to keep up time. It also debuffs enemies with a slow if they attack you with physical damage, which lasts 15 seconds. It can be good if you end up pulling ahead of the tank, although I don't advise doing that with tanks you don't personally know. True North is on a 45-second cooldown and holds 2 charges. It nullifies positional penalties, so if you can't hit your positional, then use True North and you'll still get the full potency. Now then, I hope you have your pen and paper ready, my apprentice, for we are entering the opener and rotation. Nah, I'm just kidding. You can sit back, relax, and take this information however you want. To begin, we'll use a Meikyo Shisui around 14 seconds on the countdown. Then True North at 5 seconds. Once the encounter starts, we'll hit Gecko and weave a Strength Potion. Then Kasha and weave Ikushoten, and then Yokikaze into Tendo Setsugeka. Weave Sanai into Tendo Keisha Setsugeka. Weave Meikyo Shisui into Gecko. Weave Zanshin into Higanbana and Ogi Namakiri. Weave Shoha into Keisha Namakiri and Kasha. Weave Shinten into Gecko. Weave Gyoten into Gyofu and Yokikaze. Weave Shinten and then finish up with a Tendo Setsugeka and Keisha Tendo Setsugeka. Anyways, I hope you took that all in. For Samurai, we'll do this section a bit differently to other jobs. as to fully explain everything we'll need more than 3 snippets of gameplay. So I'll let the first 3 minutes play out with some explanations, and past that point we'll be skipping ahead. The first Higan banner dot reapplication is coming up. For Higan banner reapplication, I like to follow the rule of if Higan banner is under 15 seconds as I finish a Sen combo, then I use Meikyo Shisui to finish the remaining Sen combos to speed up my rotation so I don't miss the reapply. This is what we mean by Meikyo Shisui acceleration, because we're accelerating our combo. For the very first Higan banner reapplication, we don't actually follow this rule. The reason for this is to make future Higan banner reapplications better align with buffs. So letting this one drop for a few seconds is completely normal and there is no need to stress it. I also just want to mention here is where we keep hold of the Keisha Setsugeka and the 3 meditation stacks for the upcoming 2-minute burst window. Alright, now we're at the 2-minute burst window, and the goal here is to catch the following under all of our party buffs. For GCDs, we want 1 Keisha Setsugeka, we smuggled, 1 Tendo Setsugeka and Tendo Keisha Setsugeka, 1 reapplied Higan banner, 1 Ogi Namakiri and Keisha Namakiri, 3 combo finishers from Meikyo Shisui, ideally Gecko and Kasha with an additional Gecko or Kasha. As for the OGCDs, we should be getting 1 Sanai, 1 Zanshin, 2 Shoha, 1 which we smuggled and the other we got from this burst, and 3 to 4 Shintens. Now that we are past the 2-minute mark, our Meikyo Shisui acceleration comes into play, and we can use the rule from earlier. If there's less than 15 seconds on Higan banner as we finish the Sen combo, we can use Meikyo Shisui. So take for example this 3-minute mark. I finish my Yokokaze combo with 18 seconds on my Higan banner, so I know I can do one more combo before using Meikyo Shisui. So I do another combo, and then my Higan banner is on 12 seconds, and I still have another combo to do. It's at this point where I have to use Meikyo Shisui to accelerate my rotation. So that's what we'll do. And then we'll use Tendo Setsugeka and Tendo Keisha Setsugeka, and I still have 2 stacks of Meikyo Shisui. So I can use another combo finisher and then reapply my Higan banner, almost perfectly keeping it up. Because we only need to accelerate our rotation by 1 combo on the odd minute, the same will apply to the even minute burst window here. So we can already mentally prepare in advance that for the 2-minute buffs, we'll need to accelerate by 1 combo again. Skipping ahead to 5 minutes, we're on another odd minute, but this time my Higan banner is at 14 seconds as a Yokokaze, which means we need to accelerate our rotation by 2 combos here. So we use Meikyo Shisui on Gecko and Kasha, Tendo Setsugeka and Tendo Keisha Setsugeka, and then Gecko or Kasha, and then we reapply a Higan banner, pretty much perfectly without dropping it. Again, just like with the 3 and 4 minute mark, because we accelerated our rotation by 2 combos, we'll need to do the same for the upcoming even minute burst window. This 6-minute burst window is basically our opener again, minus the prior Meikyo Shisui acceleration we did, and extra Kenki we have. We're going to be using Potion here, and we'll be using an additional Meikyo Shisui as we get an extra usage here due to the 55-second cooldown, which does mean we'll use Meikyo Shisui with a Yokokaze again. And just like the opener, our next odd and even burst window is going to look the exact same. So you can think of the 6-minute mark like a reset in our rotation. And yeah, that's the opener and rotation. A lot to take in, but I hope this helped break it down. Do you like subs? Substats, of course. So let's go over the substat priority. Because in this guide, we use 2.14 GCD time, I'd recommend getting enough skill speed to reach that threshold. Then once that's reached, you'll want to obtain as much critical hit as possible. Not only because it's just a flat out overpowered stat, but also Samurai has so many guaranteed critical hits that it further increases their damage output by a large amount. Finally, we'll have a healthy balance of determination and direct hit, which I say in every DPS guide, and that's because DPS actually get direct hit on their gear, making these two stats naturally balanced. So having a good amount of both will lessen your diminishing returns. Wow, just look at you. When you first stepped in here, you were but an innocent babe who couldn't tell the difference between the handle and the blade, but now your intimacy with the sword knows no bounds, for you are a samurai, through and through. Anyways, if you enjoyed the video, give it a like, comment, and subscribe if you aren't already part of the club. If you really enjoy my content, you can become a Patreon like these weeb-enjoying individuals. Thanks for watching, and goodbye.